Happy Friday, everybody, and a good Friday at that. So day 25 of quarantine. Here we go on a Friday at lunchtime. As you can see from the title, we're going to dive in a little bit to Bloomquist Moyer. There's been some stuff floating around on social media on that, as you've probably seen. But I just wanted to thank everyone. We're getting the numbers in from the pod and everything we're doing on Facebook with the One to Go show. We're just smashing the numbers off the charts. We just can't believe how fast we've grown. And I know some of you have listened and shared and passed the word. So I just wanted to thank everyone. It's Holy Week. I want to be thankful. So thank you everyone who's helped out in that. So like I said, on social media, they're getting going on the old argument of Moyer Bloomquist. So I've got some numbers here I was able to put together. It's an interesting argument. There's about 10 years age difference roughly between the two. Apparently, they've raced head-to-head twice, the 02 Summer Nationals and the 04 World of Outlaws season, which was won by Bloomquist in both cases. Although Bloomquist was not going to win the title in 05 and then dropped off. So there's a hashtag there, or a quotes there, not hashtag. So Eldora, which is obviously like the Daytona, right? Speedway, raceway of our sport. That's the big one, especially the World 100. The World 100 doesn't pay the most. Kind of like NASCAR, you've got the Daytona 500. I know you've had, I think it was it the Winston Million or even the Coca-Cola 600, I think pays more. But what would you rather win? Well, you'd rather win the Daytona 500, right? So Eldora wins. Bloomquist 12, 8 Dreams, 4 Worlds. Moyer, 2 Dreams, 6 Worlds. Okay, so another advantage, or first advantage to Bloomquist. If the first one, well, I guess first one was advantage to Bloomquist too. You got a 2-1 as far as point series head to head. Crown Jewel wins. Bloomer's got him beat bad. 7 Crown Jewel wins versus Moyer. Or he has 7 more so there's like 9 Crown Jewels. So of the 9 Crown Jewels, Bloomquist has 7 more wins at 7 of the 9. Moyer has 1 more win at 1 of the 9, and then they're tied at a couple of them. Okay, so Bloomquist really blows them out of the water there. Eldora top 5s, 32 for Bloomquist, 16 for Moyer. Summer Nationals wins. Bloomquist 28, Moyer a whopping 100. He's the top dog. So and that was really how Billy cut his teeth was. There wasn't a lot of national series type stuff in the 80s, and that's they'd go back then it was only like 2 weeks. Now they go for like a full month, but back then it was like 2 weeks. And in the late 80s, there around 1990, they were paying like $100,000 to win that series. So you raced for 2 weeks and it was like $100,000 paycheck. But I think you had to have a certain amount of wins in order for that to happen. So again, Summer Nationals wins. Bloomquist 28, Moyer 100. Bloomquist didn't race it as often either. Remember Moyer? He lives in Batesville, Arkansas, but he's an Iowa boy. So he's it makes a little bit more sense where obviously Bloomquist is down in Tennessee. All right, total wins. Bloomquist has about 200 fewer. Moyer had 840 wins. Now, these are some interesting stats. Like I said, Bloomquist is about 600. 840 wins total for Moyer. From 82 to 86, he had 466 wins. So in that 12-year span, he had over half his wins. He was averaging 31 wins per year. Think about that, 31 wins. So how many top 5s? 60? This is pretty incredible numbers. He had 49 wins alone in 82, 83. Very impressive. So again, how many seconds? Or maybe not many when you have 49 wins. But throw in maybe a half a dozen seconds. So you have, if you do just say that, you'd have 63 top 2s. And then, so that check, so Bloomquist, Eldora, Crown Jewels, head to head, got the advantage. Moyer, more wins. Probably single seasons wins totals better. Scott, 1990, was the Summer Nationals champion. He won 10 of the 14 races, so complete domination there. Moyer in 94 with the Summer Nationals, he won 8 of the 13. And that was kind of cool because in 94 is when they kind of traveled through our Arizona region a little bit more. Owatonna, of course, the go for 50, for those of you, especially millennials, might not know, the go for 50 was kind of the focal point of the Summer Nationals. The Summer Nationals was to get the drivers from the South to come up. And the marquee event, because back in the like mid-'80s, late 80s, Owatonna was paying 10 grand to win. That was a well-paying show back then. So you wanted to daisy chain some races up through Kentucky, Iowa, Indiana, Illinois, get to Minnesota, and then work your way back through Iowa, Nebraska, etc., and go back down. So in 1994, we had races in Owatonna, Rice Lake, Alex, Cedar Lake, and ABC in Ashland. So that was pretty cool looking back at some of that. So in 1998, another stat. Okay, we're kind of done with stats here. So the driver part, you'd probably give the edge to Bloomquist. And the other element of Bloomquist was, this chassis side that he really, not that it has anything to necessarily, well, it does have something to do with wins. It doesn't make you necessarily a better driver, but, the innovation side that he came up with is a reason I think in the 90s you might want to say, there's a compelling argument that Moyer, 80s and 90s, Moyer was the better driver. But since 2000 now, for the last 20 years, Bloomquist is the better driver. And I think a lot of that has to do with the chassis stuff, what he's done. I saw a recent interview with him from 1998 when he was racing a Rayburn in like March. And he won a race down south, and he was interviewed, and he said, well, we built this car up at Rayburn shop. And now we are going to build a second car at Warrior shop. So who knows how many different angles or bars or something like that Bloomquist put in his car that if you bought a Rayburn or you bought a Warrior, you weren't getting. So my personal opinion, like I said, I think Bloomquist has the edge. But I think, the two of them are so far ahead of everyone else. I don't think there's anyone going to come close to catching him, at least nobody in the circuit these days. And, rules change and things are different, Bloomquist, he's had more scandals, cheating, weighing in light, that kind of stuff. Whereas, Moyer's been pretty pristine. He's pretty crystal clean there. So it'll be interesting to see kind of where, Moyer's 62 now, so we'll see where he ends up. He's been saying for the last 5 years he's going to retire, and every time there's a major event, he keeps showing up. So I thought those are some interesting stats, and that argument will continue. There's no, because it's too much in the eye of the beholder. But like I said, in my personal opinion, Scott has a little bit of an edge. So with that, I just wanted to wish everyone a good Friday. Whether you're a religious person or not, there was this guy, there's plenty of fact. He walked the earth. His name was Jesus. He ended up being probably the most popular person on earth at one time. He didn't rule a country. He was dirt poor. He had no army. Became the most famous person on earth. Obviously ended up being a big threat to the world for whatever reason, when all he did was help the poor. And, he died a brutal death, obviously, of suffocation. I guess a lot of people didn't know that that's how you suffocate when you're crucified. You're nailed through the ankles, not the feet. Like some crucifixes show, you're nailed through the wrists, not the hands, because you got to hold your body up. And you're constantly pushing up on your ankles to breathe. Otherwise, your lungs sag too much and you can't breathe. So it takes you 2-3 hours to die. Not to mention the flogging that takes place first. The flogging was pieces of metal on 3 bands of leather. So a Roman soldier, one on one side. So he'd flog, and as he was coming across, and he'd hit your neck back. You're tied to a post. So he's hitting your upper arms, your back, all the way down, hitting your calves. And they used to flog just about, so as one was releasing, the other was hitting you, okay, with these metal balls. So the floggings took like half hour, 45 minutes. They used to like to do it till your kidneys were almost showing. And then you had to carry your cross to the outskirts of town, not outside the wall, but still inside, so people could see you. So you were shamed, stripped naked, and then you were nailed to the cross. You had no energy to fight back. And then, like I said, you basically suffocated to death. So in this time, the reason I'm bringing this up is really, we're at this time of the world's in a pandemic, right, with this corona. So with that in mind, maybe a little bit more. And like I said, the guy, all he ever preached was peace, love, compassion for humankind, healing, that kind of thing. And so maybe we can all take that to heart, especially for those that have been affected by the corona, and those, especially the healthcare workers on the front lines that are putting themselves and their families in danger every day. So with that, have a great Friday, and we'll catch you all tomorrow.